Most men lose a woman long before she actually leaves. Not because they weren't good enough. Not because they didn't try hard enough. But because they never truly understood how attraction works. They listened to words, but ignored emotions. They chased reassurance, but forgot self-respect. They gave everything, and slowly lost themselves. I've been that man. The one who over-explained. The one who feared losing her. The one who confused effort with strength. And experience taught me something uncomfortable. Women don't fall for logic. They don't stay for promises. And they don't respect a man who abandons himself to keep them. If you want to become a man women desire, respect, and choose willingly, not out of convenience, but conviction, then you must understand these truths. Not from theory, but from experience. Let's begin. Welcome to the Stoic Love Wisdom channel. This is where we share lessons about love, real-life experiences and tips for building strong relationships. In today's video, I will share with you 7 psychological truths about women that mature men should know. These may be things you have never thought of. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones to feel every word I am about to share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's begin. Truth number 1, women are drawn to emotion, not logic. I learned this the hard way. When I was younger, I believed that if I could explain myself well enough, love would make sense. I thought clarity would win arguments. I thought consistency would guarantee loyalty. I thought that if I did everything right on paper, she would naturally stay. But women do not fall in love with your logic. They fall in love with how they feel when they are with you. And that realization changed everything. A man lives in a world of cause and effect. If I work hard I succeed. If I treat her well she appreciates me. If I explain my intention she understands. But attraction does not operate on spreadsheets. You can be right in every argument and still lose her desire. You can provide everything she says she wants and still feel her drifting away. Why? Because desire is emotional, not contractual. I once dated a woman who told me she valued honesty, stability, and maturity. So I gave her exactly that. I was predictable. I was transparent. I was available. And slowly, she grew distant. Nothing dramatic happened. No betrayal. No fights. Just silence expanding between us. One evening she said, "I don't know, something just feels different." That was the moment I understood. She wasn't evaluating my resume. She was responding to her emotions. And somewhere along the way, the emotional charge had faded. Here is the truth most men resist. A woman will rationalize her decision later, but she decides based on feeling first. She may tell you she wants a nice guy. But what she responds to is presence. Energy. Emotional impact. When she feels alive around you, she leans in. When she feels bored, she withdraws, even if you are objectively good. This is not manipulation. This is nature. And a Stoic man does not resent nature. He understands it. Emotion is created by tension, polarity, unpredictability with instability. Notice the paradox. A woman wants safety, but not monotony. She wants certainty, but not dullness. She wants strength, but not rigidity. If you become overly logical, overly available, overly explanatory, you remove the emotional tension that creates attraction. You turn the relationship into a meeting. And no one falls in love during a meeting. When she is upset, your instinct is to explain. To defend yourself. To clarify context. to present evidence. But she is not asking for a courtroom defense. She is expressing emotion. In those moments, logic feels cold. Presence feels powerful. A calm voice. Steady eye contact. Minimal words. I understand how you feel. That sentence holds more power than a 10-minute explanation. Stoicism in love does not mean emotional suppression. It means emotional mastery. It means you do not chase her emotional storms. You do not get pulled into drama. You do not overreact to mood shifts. Instead, you remain grounded. And paradoxically, that grounded state allows her to feel more freely. Because when she feels your stability, her emotions feel safe to expand. Here is another lesson most men overlook. A woman remembers how you made her feel far longer than what you said. She may forget your detailed explanation. She will not forget how secure she felt in your arms. She will not forget the confidence in your silence. She will not forget the tension when you looked at her without needing approval. Emotion imprints. Logic fades. When I stopped trying to win with arguments and started focusing on emotional leadership, everything changed. I spoke less. I reacted less. I listened more. I stopped trying to convince. Instead, I embodied. And suddenly, conversations felt deeper. Arguments softened. Attraction returned. Not because I manipulated anything, but because I understood the battlefield. Love is emotional territory. The mature man does not complain that women are illogical. He recognizes that attraction is not a debate, it is an experience. He creates experiences. He leads emotional tone. He maintains inner stability. He understands that his mood sets the temperature of the relationship. If he is anxious, she feels it. If he is desperate, she senses it. If he is calm, she relaxes. If he is grounded, she opens. This is power. Quiet power. So if you want to understand women, stop asking, does this make sense? Start asking, what does she feel when she is with me? Does she feel tension? Does she feel admiration? Does she feel calm? Does she feel desire? If the answer is no, logic will not save you. The Stoic lover does not try to control her emotions. He controls his own. And in doing so, he becomes the emotional anchor in a world that constantly shifts. That is when she begins to lean into you. Not because you argued well, but because being with you feels right. And in the end, feeling always wins over reasoning. Always. Truth number 2, mystery is more attractive than full transparency. When I was younger, I believed honesty meant full disclosure. I thought love required reporting every thought, every plan, every insecurity. I believed transparency would build safety. So I shared everything, my schedule, my worries, my intentions, my emotional state. And slowly, something subtle disappeared. Her curiosity. A woman is naturally drawn to what she cannot fully predict. Not chaos. Not instability. But depth. There is a difference. A mature man is stable, yet not completely readable. Open, yet not exposed. Available, yet not always accessible. That tension is attraction. When you reveal everything too quickly, you remove the space for discovery. Discovery is intoxicating. Think about the early stages of any powerful connection. There are pauses. Questions. Unanswered thoughts. Moments of silence charged with possibility. That space allows imagination to work. And imagination is stronger than information. I once made the mistake of becoming entirely accessible to a woman I deeply desired. I responded instantly. I explained my absences. I reassured her before she even doubted. I anticipated her fears and tried to neutralize them. I thought I was being secure. In reality, I was eliminating mystery. And when mystery disappears, so does tension. Without tension, there is no spark. Mystery does not mean playing games. Let me be clear. Stoic love rejects manipulation. Mystery means you have a world that does not revolve around her. You have ambitions she cannot fully see. You have discipline she cannot interrupt. You have thoughts you do not rush to explain. You are present with her, but not consumed by her. That distinction changes everything. A woman does not want to feel like your only source of meaning. It may sound romantic to say, "You are my world." But it is dangerous. Because if she becomes your world, you become smaller. And nothing kills attraction faster than a shrinking man. When a man over-explains himself, he seeks validation. Just so you know why I didn't text. I promise I wasn't ignoring you. I was just busy, but I care. Every unnecessary explanation communicates subtle insecurity. Confidence is comfortable with silence. If you were working, you were working. If you were training, you were training. If you needed space, you took space. No dramatic announcement required. A woman feels the difference between a man who explains from fear and a man who speaks from grounded calm. There is power in restraint. When she asks what you're thinking and you smile slightly before answering, that pause creates energy. When she senses depth she hasn't fully accessed, she leans closer. Humans are wired to pursue what they cannot completely map. If she already knows every layer of you within 2 weeks, the exploration ends. And when exploration ends, excitement fades. In my later years, I learned to speak less. Not to be distant, but to be deliberate. I stopped filling every silence. I stopped narrating my life. I stopped volunteering emotional reassurance before it was needed. And something shifted. Women began investing more. They asked more questions. They initiated more conversations. They paid closer attention. Why? Because they felt they were earning access, not being handed everything. Mystery also protects your dignity. When conflict arises, the immature man overreacts, defends, explains, justifies. The seasoned man listens. He doesn't rush to fix her perception. He doesn't beg to be understood. He lets his actions speak over time. That calm reserve builds respect. And respect sustains attraction far longer than charm. Understand this clearly. A woman wants emotional connection. But she also wants to feel she is still discovering you. If you become entirely predictable, texting at the same time, reacting the same way, revealing every plan, comfort replaces intrigue. Comfort without intrigue becomes friendship. Intrigue with stability becomes desire. That balance is mastery. Stoicism teaches self-containment. Your emotions are yours to govern. Your mission is yours to pursue. Your inner world is not for public display. You share intentionally, not impulsively. And because you do not overshare, your words carry weight. When you say, "I care," it matters, because you do not say it casually. When you open up, it feels earned, because you do not open easily. That selective vulnerability creates depth. A woman does not fall for a man who is empty and loud. She falls for the man who is quiet and layered. She senses there is more beneath the surface. More strength. More discipline. More emotion than he shows. And that unseen depth pulls her in. If you want to maintain attraction, remember this. Be clear, but not completely transparent. Be present, but not constantly available. Be warm, but not needy. Be open, but not exposed. Let her discover you in chapters. Not all at once. Because the moment she feels she has reached the end of the book, she stops turning the pages. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Truth number 3, women test men more than you realize. No one told me about the tests. When I was younger, I thought attraction was about saying the right things, doing the right gestures, showing consistency. I didn't understand why, just when things felt smooth, tension would appear out of nowhere. A cold tone. A sarcastic comment. A sudden withdrawal. A subtle comparison to another man. I thought she was being difficult. I was wrong. She was observing. A woman does not test you because she wants to destroy you. She tests you because she wants to measure you. Not your income. Not your words. Your emotional stability. Every woman, consciously or unconsciously, asks one question. Is this man strong enough to handle life, and me? Strength here is not aggression. It is composure. One of the first tests I ever failed was simple. She cancelled a date last minute with a vague excuse. No apology. No effort to reschedule. My ego flared. I reacted emotionally. I pulled away dramatically. I tried to mirror her indifference. What I didn't realize was that she wasn't canceling the date. She was watching my response. Would I crumble? Would I over-pursue? Would I get angry? Would I beg for reassurance? I did exactly what an insecure man does. I made it emotional. And from that moment, something shifted. Her respect decreased. A woman's tests are rarely direct. They come disguised as mood swings. Playful teasing. Disagreement. Silence. Jealousy triggers. Boundary pushing. She might say, "You're too serious." She might flirt in front of you. She might take hours to respond after you've shown strong interest. It is not always manipulation. Often, it is instinct. She is scanning for weakness. Understand something deeply. A woman does not feel safe with a man she can emotionally destabilize. If a small comment shakes you, how will you handle real pressure? If delayed texts trigger anxiety, how will you handle conflict? If disagreement turns you defensive, how will you lead? Her nervous system is evaluating yours. This is not romance. This is biology. The Stoic man passes tests without even trying. Because he is not performing. When she teases him, he smiles. When she challenges him, he remains calm. When she withdraws slightly, he does not chase desperately. He does not punish. He does not overreact. He does not seek immediate reassurance. He observes. And observation is power. There was a woman I dated years later, far more emotionally intelligent than the earlier ones. She once told me directly, after months together. I tried to provoke you in the beginning. I asked how. She laughed. I disagreed with you on purpose. I cancelled once to see if you'd get angry. I mentioned another guy to see if you'd get jealous. I asked her what she saw. She said, "You didn't move." That was the difference. Not dominance. Not control. Stability. When you react emotionally, you reveal insecurity. When you stay grounded, you reveal strength. A test is not about winning an argument. It is about maintaining frame. Your frame is your internal posture, how you see yourself, how you regulate emotion, how you respond under pressure. If her mood dictates your mood, she leads. If her silence creates panic in you, she leads. If her approval determines your confidence, she leads. An attraction fades when she leads emotionally. Some men resent this truth. They say, why can't she just be straightforward? Because attraction is not a job interview. It is instinctual calibration. Women have evolved to detect emotional instability quickly. A man who collapses under small stress is a liability long-term. So she introduces small stress early. And watches. Passing a test does not mean suppressing emotion. It means responding deliberately instead of impulsively. If she cancels without respect, you calmly say, "No problem. Let me know when you're free." And you move on with your life. If she teases you, you tease back lightly. If she compares you, you smile and remain unshaken. You do not defend your value. You embody it. Here is the paradox. The more you fear being tested, the more you fail. The less you need her validation, the stronger you appear. When you are internally solid, her tests become irrelevant. Because you are not trying to pass. You are simply being. And that authenticity is what disarms her. But let me be clear about something important. If the tests become disrespectful patterns, constant manipulation, humiliation, or emotional games, that is no longer calibration. That is incompatibility. A mature man knows the difference. He tolerates light tension. He does not tolerate disrespect. And that boundary, held calmly, increases respect even further. The strongest moment in any early relationship is not when she compliments you. It is when she challenges you. And you remain steady. That is when attraction deepens. Because in that moment, she feels something rare. I cannot shake him. And a man who cannot be shaken is a man who can be trusted. Not because he is rigid. But because he is rooted. So when the next emotional wave comes, and it will, do not panic. Do not react. Pause. Breathe. Respond slowly. Let her see that your internal world is not fragile. Because the truth is simple. Women test men. But they fall for the ones who pass without even noticing there was a test. Truth number 4, she listens to what you say, but she is moved by what she feels. When I was younger, I paid attention to words. I listened carefully when a woman told me what she wanted. I like men who are kind. I just want someone who communicates. I need a man who makes me feel secure. So I adjusted myself to fit the description. I became more available. More expressive. More accommodating. And still, attraction fluctuated. That is when I understood something uncomfortable. What she says she wants is filtered through logic. What she is attracted to is filtered through emotion. And emotion does not always align with speech. A woman may say she wants a man who texts her all day. But if you text her all day, you may become predictable. She may say she values sensitivity. But if you become overly sensitive, you may appear fragile. She may say she wants honesty. But brutal emotional transparency without strength feels unstable. This is not hypocrisy. It is dual-layer psychology. The conscious mind speaks. The subconscious reacts. And attraction lives in the subconscious. There was a woman I once dated who constantly told me she wanted reassurance. So I gave it to her. Every doubt she voiced, I softened. Every fear she expressed, I calmed with words. Every insecurity, I tried to heal. But over time, I noticed something strange. The more reassurance I gave, the less secure she became. Because reassurance without grounded leadership feels like negotiation. She didn't want endless comforting. She wanted to feel my certainty. Certainty is different from reassurance. Reassurance says, "Please don't worry. I'm here." Certainty says, "There is nothing to worry about." The first seeks to calm emotion. The second stabilizes it. Women are deeply attuned to emotional tone. If your voice carries doubt, she feels it. If your posture carries hesitation, she reads it. If your decisions lack clarity, she senses it. You cannot hide emotional instability behind polished sentences. She feels through you. The Stoic man understands this. Words are surface. Energy is substance. You can say, "I'm confident," while radiating anxiety. You can say, "I trust you," while vibrating insecurity. She will respond to what she feels, not what you declare. That is why some men with fewer words create deeper attraction. Because their emotional presence is coherent. What they say matches what they are. In arguments, this truth becomes even clearer. When she is emotional and you respond with pure logic, you disconnect. You might be factually correct. But she does not feel understood. And feeling misunderstood creates distance faster than disagreement. The mature man does not abandon logic. He sequences it. First, he acknowledges emotion. "I see that this upset you." Then, after tension lowers, he introduces reason. Timing matters. Emotional rhythm matters. There is also something deeper. A woman may tell you she wants equality. But emotionally, she is drawn to leadership. Not control. Leadership. Leadership means decisiveness. Direction. Emotional steadiness under pressure. When you constantly ask, "What do you want to do? Where should we go? What do you prefer?" You may think you are being considerate. But if you never lead, she begins to feel alone in decision-making. And aloneness reduces attraction. Attraction thrives on polarity. If she is expressive, you are grounded. If she is emotional, you are centered. If she fluctuates, you remain steady. This creates emotional contrast. And contrast creates spark. When both partners are uncertain, both feel unsafe. When one partner is anchored, the other relaxes. Let me say something uncomfortable. Sometimes, what she complains about is exactly what initially attracted her. She may say, "You're so stubborn." But in the beginning, she admired your firmness. She may say, "You're too focused on work." But she was drawn to your ambition. The key is calibration, not abandonment. Do not erase your strength to satisfy temporary emotion. Refine it. The older I became, the less I tried to align myself with every preference spoken. Instead, I asked a better question. What emotional experience am I creating? Does she feel safe? Does she feel stimulated? Does she feel led? Does she feel desired? If yes, words matter less. If no, perfect communication will not save you. This is why some men who say very little create powerful bonds. Their silence is not empty. It is composed. Their decisions are not loud. They are firm. Their affection is not excessive. It is deliberate. And deliberate affection feels valuable. A woman listens with her ears. But she bonds with her nervous system. If your presence lowers her anxiety, she attaches. If your presence increases uncertainty, she withdraws. If your presence creates excitement without chaos, she invests. So stop obsessing over crafting perfect sentences. Start mastering emotional alignment. Speak clearly. But live even clearer. Because in love, what she feels in your presence will always outweigh what she hears from your mouth. And when your energy speaks strength, your words become secondary, yet powerful. Truth number 5, the moment you fear losing her, you begin losing yourself. There is a subtle shift that happens inside a man. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't explode like anger. It whispers. What if she leaves? And from that whisper, everything changes. I remember the first time I truly feared losing a woman. She was beautiful, intelligent, magnetic. The kind of woman who turns heads when she walks into a room. For the first time, I felt slightly inferior. That was the beginning of my decline. Not because she was superior, but because I began to place her above me in my own mind. And the moment you elevate someone beyond your internal balance, you start negotiating your standards. Fear of loss creates neediness. Neediness is not loud begging. It is subtle behavioral shifts. You respond faster than usual. You overthink your messages. You cancel your plans to accommodate hers. You tolerate small disrespect you would never accept before. You become hyper-aware of her tone, her pauses, her distance. Your emotional state starts orbiting her behavior. That is the moment you begin shrinking. Women are extremely sensitive to emotional scarcity. When you fear losing her, your energy changes. You speak more carefully. You laugh slightly harder. You agree slightly faster. You hesitate before disagreeing. And she feels it. Not consciously perhaps, but instinctively. Your center of gravity shifts from yourself to her approval. Attraction cannot survive that shift. Let me be brutally honest. The more you need her to stay, the less she feels compelled to. Why? Because attraction requires choice. If she senses that you cannot walk away, the dynamic changes. You become dependent. And dependency erodes respect. A Stoic man loves deeply. But he does not cling. He invests emotionally. But he does not anchor his identity to the relationship. He understands a powerful truth. Love is an addition to his life, not the foundation of it. His foundation is his mission. His discipline. His values. His self-respect. If those remain intact, he remains intact. Even if she leaves. I once dated a woman who began pulling away slowly. Longer response times. Less enthusiasm. Subtle emotional distance. The old version of me would have panicked. This time, I did something different. I leaned back. Not as a tactic, but as alignment. I returned my focus to my training. My work. My routines. When she reached out inconsistently, I responded calmly, but I did not chase. When she canceled, I did not protest. I simply continued living. Something surprising happened. She leaned back in. Not because I manipulated her, but because I removed the pressure. Desperation repels. Stability attracts. Here is the paradox of masculine strength. The man who is capable of walking away is the man most women hesitate to lose. Not because he threatens, but because he does not negotiate his dignity. When a woman senses that your standards remain even if she withdraws, she feels something powerful. I must invest to keep this. An investment increases attachment. Fear creates overcompensation. Overcompensation kills polarity. If she senses that your happiness depends entirely on her presence, she feels burdened. No woman wants to be responsible for a man's emotional survival. She wants to complement his life. not carry it. This does not mean emotional coldness. It means emotional sovereignty. You can tell her you care. You can express affection. You can show vulnerability. But you never communicate. I cannot function without you. Because once you believe that, you hand her control over your peace. And peace is your greatest asset. There is another uncomfortable truth. Sometimes, the fear of losing her comes from insecurity about your own value. You think, she can replace me easily. That belief is poison. Because if you believe you are replaceable, you behave replaceably. You overperform. You overgive. You overcompensate. Instead of embodying quiet confidence. The mature man understands something fundamental. If she chooses to leave despite your integrity, composure, and effort, then she was not aligned with your path. Loss is not humiliation. Loss is filtration. Not every connection is meant to last. Clinging to one person out of fear only delays growth. When you release the fear of losing her, you regain yourself. Your tone steadies. Your decisions sharpen. Your posture straightens. Your humor returns. You stop monitoring her. You start mastering yourself. And ironically, that is when attraction stabilizes. Because now she is not dating a man who fears abandonment. She is with a man who chooses her, not needs her. Understand this clearly. Attachment built on fear creates anxiety. Attachment built on strength creates desire. If you must lose someone to keep your self-respect, lose them. If you must stand alone to preserve your standards, stand. Because the man who refuses to abandon himself for love is the only man truly capable of sustaining it. There are things in love, only when we take a step back, sit down quietly, can we truly understand. I share these stories not to teach you how to love, but so that you can find the answers for yourself. If what you just heard touches your heart, please click like as a way to spread this positive energy to more people. And remember to click subscribe, because there are many profound perspectives on love waiting for you in the next videos. Now, let's continue the remaining journey together, because the most precious things are sometimes at the end. Truth number 6, she may fall for your words, but she stays for the way you make her feel safe. There is a difference between attraction and attachment. Attraction is sparked by chemistry. Attachment is sustained by security. Many men know how to ignite desire. Very few know how to maintain emotional safety. And without safety, even the strongest attraction eventually burns out. When I was younger, I focused heavily on charm. The right phrases. The right timing. The right compliments. I knew how to make a woman smile. I knew how to create tension. I knew how to make her feel wanted. But I did not yet understand how to make her feel secure. And without security, attraction feels unstable. Exciting, but exhausting. A woman may be drawn to your confidence. But she stays because of your consistency. She may love your ambition. But she commits because of your reliability. She may crave your intensity. But she trusts your steadiness. Excitement opens the door. Stability keeps it open. Security is not softness. It is predictability in character, not routine. It means your values do not shift with your mood. It means your tone does not become cruel under stress. It means your loyalty is not conditional on convenience. It means she does not have to wonder who you are today. Because you are the same man, whether life is smooth or chaotic. I once dated a woman who had experienced emotional inconsistency in her past relationships. Hot and cold behavior. Grand promises followed by withdrawal. Affection followed by silence. When we began seeing each other, I noticed something subtle. She would test emotional stability not through conflict, but through vulnerability. She would open up about something painful, then watch. Would I minimize it? Would I become uncomfortable? Would I change the subject? Would I weaponize it later? When she realized I remained steady, that her vulnerability was safe, her attachment deepened. Not because I said beautiful things, but because I held space without flinching. Safety is built in moments of tension. When she is emotional, do you escalate, or regulate? When she is stressed, do you criticize, or support? When she disagrees, do you become defensive, or composed? A woman does not feel safe with a man who loses control under pressure. Even if he is passionate. Even if he is loving. Emotional volatility erodes trust. And trust is the foundation of attachment. Understand something important. Women often live in a heightened emotional awareness. They scan tone shifts. Energy changes. Micro-expressions. If you say, "I'm fine," but radiate irritation, she feels it. If you say, "I care about you," but behave inconsistently, she feels it. Safety comes from congruence. Your words, actions, and energy aligned. The Stoic man creates calm without being dull. He does not dominate emotionally. He stabilizes emotionally. There is a difference. Dominance intimidates. Stability reassures. She knows that if conflict arises, he will not explode. If life becomes difficult, he will not collapse. If she expresses emotion, he will not mock or dismiss it. That predictability builds trust. And trust deepens love. But here is the balance most men miss. If you become only safe, without edge, attraction fades. If you become only exciting, without safety, attachment breaks. You must embody both. Strength and warmth. Leadership and listening. Desire and discipline. Polarity creates attraction. Security sustains it. There is something deeply powerful about a man whose presence lowers anxiety. When she sits next to you and her nervous system relaxes. When she can speak without fear of ridicule. When she knows you will not disappear emotionally after intimacy. That is when attachment forms. Because her body learns something. With him, I am steady. And the body remembers safety longer than the mind remembers compliments. I have learned that long-term attraction is not built through dramatic gestures. It is built through emotional reliability. Showing up when you say you will. Keeping your word. Staying calm when tension rises. Not weaponizing silence. Consistency is masculine discipline applied to love. And discipline is attractive. A mature woman does not seek constant fireworks. She seeks emotional grounding. The kind of grounding that allows her to soften. Because when she feels safe, she opens deeper. And when she opens deeper, intimacy becomes profound. Not chaotic. Not unstable. But powerful. If you want her to stay, do not just impress her. Anchor her. Be the man whose presence feels like solid ground. Unshaken. Reliable. Centered. Because in a world filled with emotional turbulence, the man who embodies calm strength becomes rare. And rare men are not easily replaced. Truth number 7, women respect a man with standards, even if they resist them. There is a quiet difference between being liked and being respected. Many men chase approval. Very few protect their standards. And without standards, attraction slowly erodes, no matter how strong it once was. When I was younger, I believed compromise was the highest form of love. If she was upset, I adjusted. If she disagreed, I softened. If she crossed a line, I rationalized it. I told myself I was being understanding. In reality, I was abandoning my boundaries. And every time you abandon your boundaries, you teach someone how to treat you. At first, she may appreciate your flexibility. She may say you are easy to be with. But over time, something changes. Her tone shifts. Her behavior becomes bolder. Her respect subtly decreases. Because deep down, a woman does not feel secure with a man who bends under pressure. She may test your limits. But she also measures whether you have them. Standards are not rules you impose on her. They are principles you impose on yourself. I do not tolerate disrespect. I do not chase inconsistency. I do not remain where I am not valued. I do not sacrifice my mission for temporary comfort. These are internal contracts. And when you uphold them calmly, without drama, something powerful happens. You become grounded. I once dated a woman who had a habit of canceling plans last minute. The first time, I accepted it casually. The second time, I expressed mild disappointment. The third time, I said calmly, I value my time. If we make plans, I expect mutual respect. There was no anger. No raised voice. Just clarity. She paused. For the first time, she adjusted her behavior. Because she felt something different. Not hostility. But firmness. Many men confuse standards with control. Control says, you must behave this way. Standards say, if you behave that way, I will remove myself. Control tries to dominate. Standards protect dignity. And dignity is magnetic. A woman may resist your boundaries initially. She may test them. She may push. But if your boundary is consistent, not emotional, not impulsive, she learns something. This man cannot be manipulated. And manipulation only occurs where boundaries are weak. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The more you tolerate disrespect in the name of love, the less attractive you become. Disrespect can be subtle. Mocking your ambition. Flirting excessively to provoke jealousy. Ignoring your time. Speaking to you harshly during disagreements. If you laugh it off every time, you communicate something dangerous. My standards are flexible. And flexible standards create unstable dynamics. The Stoic man does not react aggressively to disrespect. He withdraws access. Calmly. If she repeatedly crosses a line, he reduces availability. If behavior continues, he leaves. Not to punish. But to preserve alignment. Because self-respect is not negotiable. Women are deeply intuitive about hierarchy. Not social hierarchy. Emotional hierarchy. If she senses that you place her above your values, she unconsciously loses respect. If she senses that you place your integrity above temporary emotion, she feels safe. Because a man anchored in values cannot be easily destabilized. And stability builds trust. Let me clarify something important. Having standards does not mean being rigid or cold. It means knowing what you stand for. You can be compassionate and firm. You can be loving and disciplined. You can forgive mistakes, but not patterns. The difference between weakness and maturity is consistency. I have walked away from women I cared about. Not because I stopped loving them. But because the dynamic no longer aligned with my standards. It hurt. But pain is temporary. Self-betrayal lingers. And the moment you betray yourself to keep someone, you begin resenting them. Resentment destroys love faster than conflict ever could. Here is the paradox most men discover too late. The willingness to walk away often strengthens the relationship. When she knows you are capable of leaving, not out of ego, but out of principle, she understands your presence is a choice. And choice is powerful. She does not feel trapped. She feels selected. And being selected by a man with standards feels meaningful. A mature woman does not want a man she can control. She wants a man she can respect. Respect grows when she sees that your values are not for sale. That your time matters. That your mission matters. That your dignity matters. And that loving her does not mean losing yourself. In the end, attraction fades where standards disappear. But where boundaries are clear, calm, and consistent, respect deepens. And where respect deepens, love has room to grow. So hold your line. Not with anger. Not with pride. But with quiet certainty. Because the man who stands firm without hostility is the man no woman easily forgets. Conclusion. If there is one thing experience has taught me, it is this. Love is not something you negotiate. It is something you embody. The younger version of me tried to win women with effort. More explaining. More proving. More adjusting. But maturity taught me a different truth. Attraction is emotional. Respect is earned through strength. Attachment is built through stability. And none of those can be forced. A woman does not stay because you argue well. She stays because your presence feels grounded. She does not respect you because you please her. She respects you because you stand firm. She does not attach because you cling. She attaches because you are steady, even when she is not. That is Stoic love. Not cold. Not distant. But disciplined. To understand women, you must first master yourself. Control your reactions. Anchor your values. Maintain your mission. Love without fear. Set boundaries without anger. When you do that, something shifts. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing loss. You stop over-explaining. And you start leading emotionally. The mature man knows this. If she aligns with your strength, she stays. If she does not, you let her go, without bitterness. Because your peace is not dependent on anyone's approval. And that inner sovereignty, that calm, grounded confidence, is what makes a man unforgettable. Master yourself, and love becomes natural. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you have found useful lessons about love and relationships. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in the next videos. Please continue to accompany me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you again and wish you happiness.